Yeah, this is everything else.
Welcome, everybody, to another exciting edition of Everything Else. I am Marcus, the grand finale, and I'm joined by not one, not two, but all three faces of Jemal. Jemal, how are you doing today?
Yo, I'm moonshining today. I don't care.
Hey,
I deserve this.
the moon got to shine somewhere, all right? The moon has to shine somewhere. It just can't be out there, sitting there, looking all nice in the sky, being all full or half-assed. We have to, sometimes you have to moon shine. And we do have a lot to talk about today on this historic edition of ETE. And the main thing we want to talk about today is N.W.A 75, but the top story coming out of that is the one time, I wanted to say do it like 5 times like Booker T, but it can only be one time. The one-time champion, Kamille, has lost the women's N.W.A title. After a 2-night stint, she lost it to Kenzie Page, and she is no longer the champion. Jemal, would you like to reflect on that match or that night or any of N.W.A 75 if you got the chance to see it?
Let me just say that Pretty Empowered is fucking doing a number on the NWA right now, having not only the NWA Women's Tag Team Championships, but also the Burke that they just procreated from Mackenzie Page. Congratulations to Mackenzie Page, because, like, you know, the night before she had a rough night. You know what I'm saying? She had a rough night, but at the end of it all, then she won her little battle royal, which then subsequently got her the contendership to face for the Burke, which she ended up winning. Shout outs to Kamille Brickhouse, like, worked her ass off, was a splendid champion. Like, 800 plus days as a champion is difficult in this day and age. Roman makes it look easy. Gunther makes it look easy, but it's not easy.
It is not an easy feat to have a long title reign, and it's not an easy feat to have the audience engaged with said title range from day one to the end. So, Jemal, I have a question about Kamille's lengthy title reign. How would you rank it in one of the lengthy title reigns you've seen in your lifetime? Like, people who've lived, like, you know, it seems more recent that we're getting these longer title reigns, but how would you rank her title reign in total?
As opposed to length or as opposed to strength?
Length and strength, like the combined, like was it worth it? Should he have kept it that long, or should we have gave other people opportunities, or was this this was a nice change up of pace and it was a good reign and people were invested into it and she came off as a credible champion? All that. How would you rank her as this 813 days?
She's definitely in the women's scope of things. That's a high achievement, because just being and it sucks saying this because I don't like sounding misogynistic or anything like that, but especially for a woman to hold a lengthy, long title reign, you don't hear about that a lot. You know, she dedicated her time to bringing obscure championship into the light. And then, like, you know, she basically did what Nick Aldis did for the National Wrestling Alliance a couple of years back. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody was talking about the NWA in 2017. Nobody was doing that. Like, you know, nobody was barely talking about that. But once Nick Aldis became champion, then he did exactly that, had this long, lengthy run. Kamille did the same thing for the Burke. A lot of history was taught. Like, a lot of people didn't even know that the NWA Women's Championship was nicknamed the Burke until freaking, you know, Kamille brought that to light, you know. I mean, we've had the champions before, Jazz being one of those champions. Who else was champion at the time?
I don't know.
Thunder Rosa. Like, you know, there's names that have had the belt, but because Kamille held that belt and she's brought the history and enrichment and, like, you know, just basically there's a history that comes with being a lengthy world champion, and now she's a part of that history now. So
for me, when I got introduced to Camille, it was back in like that 2018, 19, like when NWA was first coming back off the ground with the new old school look and aesthetic, the rise of, like you said, of Nick Aldis, and she was in his corner, and it was the whole storyline, not letting her speak. Eventually, you know, she captured the title, and she held that shit for 813 days. And I'll say it was a very credible and lengthy run. It was one of those runs where I'm not going to call it my favorite women's title run. I think that still goes to like Asuka and NXT. I thought, and then all the way to the main roster until she lost to Charlotte, to like just being unbeatable. But when I thought about Camille, I thought about like, and this means no disrespect to Camille. I think she's a really good wrestler, but she was the smaller version of a Charlotte Flair. As in, Charlotte's on this giant stage and everything, and then Camille is here on basically YouTube and Fight TV and stuff like that, going through the process. And it was a very credible run, and I think that it shows confidence that they kept the title on her for so long. And I think it's very difficult for a company to like keep a title on somebody for as lengthy of a time. Like even in the Roman situation, or you know, even Asuka or whoever had these long title reigns, you go like, man, I don't know if we should do this. Yeah, who's gonna beat them? And then if this should be the course we're going on, should we commit to this? And I think it takes courage to do these long title reigns, because the fans always want title change. Who's next? Who's next? Who's next? And they get bored with it. Like, I think at this current point in the Roman lengthy, 1,000-day reign, people are already going like, all right, it's time to finish his story. Not to take that from Cody, but finish the story and like, let's see who the next person going to be. So for the NWA to keep the title on Camille this amount of time, I thought was, one of their good decisions of a many bad decisions they have made over time. I like her as a constant.
But with Camille, right? It's just like, she's wrestled like literally across the world with that belt, like Mexico, Australia, UK. Like she's put the work in to be solidified as one of the top champions in pro wrestling. Not let alone the N.W.A, but like champions in pro wrestling. So she definitely made a stamp on, women's wrestling in the N.W.A and women's wrestling as a whole and pro wrestling as a whole. So like, that's just going to be, you think of all those long ass title reigns like a Asuka, or even like if we talk about Butch when he was UK champion for that long period of time, that lost to Gunther, who then held that for a long period of time. And like, it's incredible to see.
So that's my question that's the next question. What do you feel about long champions like this, the ones who hold it over 500 or 300 or some days? Like, I remember when CM Punk was a big deal when he was doing his 400 and I think it was like 413
days,
something like that, 4 something,
13 or
something. Over 400 days. Let's go with over 400 days. So, when he had his lengthy run, that was like a rarity. And then we get into these Gunthers and Pete Dunnes and Asuka, and I think even Finn Balor had a lengthy run. John Cena had a lengthy one for about, I think, close to a year or so. But where do you stand on that? Do you like the title changes, the people that, change the title every few months, or are you let's give them a long run?
It completely depends on what the fuck is going on in your promotion. It completely depends on the character that you are. Like, who's the champion? Because there's been people who's been lengthy, long title holders, have the longest of all time. I'm gonna shatter some records over here and stuff like that. When Demolition held the tag team championships for that long, lengthy period of time,
that record stood for a long time.
Nobody gave a fuck about that record. Yeah. Nobody cared who's Demolition. Here comes the Yaks. Here comes the Smash. Nobody cared.
I cared about Demolition
until the New Day broke it. And then when the New Day broke it, that 400 and fucking 43 or whatever the fuck days.
Whatever.
Then the Usos broke that, and that's like today. Like, whoa, they you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
when Honky Tonk Man, who gives a fuck about his intercontinental title? He scammed and schemed his way to the title. He cheated. He got disqualified most of the time, and he held the belt for a long ass time. But guess what? Nobody give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, nobody gives.
With all these lengthy title reigns, with whether it's the Honky Tonk Man or Bruno Sammartino and all that, that's way back. That's history. But in modern time, it's not. I personally prefer the longer title reigns. I hate when it's like hot potatoed up. I think it gives the title more. Like recently, with the ABC in Impact lost the tag team titles. They lost it to Subculture, and now Subculture has already lost it to the Rascals. That kind of stuff bugs me because I'm like, it takes away from the title. Like, I feel like
from the title, it takes away from the teams that's winning and losing it, because it's like, okay, this is just a throwaway belt, and it discredits whoever's in that vein. Even though they're like, the Rascals are good, Subculture is really good, ABC is super good, like, great teams. But because of the short reign, they'd be like, oh, they only hold the title for like a week. Like Squasha Banks, perfect example. Great wrestler, shitty reigns. Like she can't hold the title to save her life.
But you know what I like about the Sasha Banks / Mercedes Moné title reigns? I like that it's consistent, that you can always tell that story of, oh, she's gonna lose it at the next show. Like it's always a thing, she's gonna lose it at the next show. And so if she wins, it gives that next person, let's say if Mercedes, she showed up at All In, let's say she won the women's championship over there, TBS or whatever. She wins the championship. Her next defense, you already thinking she gonna lose to, I don't know, Nyla Rose or whoever she's fighting, or Sheeta, right away. But if she wins, you go, oh shit, it's a surprise, and it adds to it. I like that a part of her story, that she cannot hold the title. It's kind of like when people ragged on, this is a golf reference, Phil Mickelson couldn't win the big one way back in the day. Like, oh, he can win all these other ones.
He ends up winning and stuff like that. Yeah. It's like the MVP storyline where he was sucking the whole way through. The Brian Myers, like when he was Kurt Hawkins, losing all that time just to win the tag team championships as his first big win in a long ass time. Like, like that helps.
It comes out of nowhere. So I'm in supportive of all the lengthy title reigns. Yeah. I don't think that they all need to go a year or anything like that. Like,
it depends on the guy.
Speaking of like a lengthy title reign that meant absolutely nothing, you go with Austin Theory. Like, his title reign was pretty long before he lost it to Rey Mysterio. But you can't tell me a single moment he did with the United States title.
Alexander.
Yeah,
you another one. Title reign? No, I didn't.
He holds the record, which is terrible.
I remember when Moose fucking took his ass out at fucking Bound for Glory and then fucking and cashed in. I remember that, even though he didn't held it that long. I remember it though.
Yeah, like, I feel like Moose's title reign was better than Moose's TNA, quote unquote, title reign. The uncrowned TNA champion title reign was better than that. Right. Like, it was better than that, and it didn't mean it. It was only 100-something days, but it felt so much longer. And it is the Impact record. Like, Gunther's title reign, breezing by. Roman's title reign, I know people may be tired of Roman and hate him, and anybody but Roman was his turn. But
be good. Get good.
Be good. It's a good reign. It's a good reign. Like, I'm like, give me a longer title reign any day of the week with a good, compelling wrestler. Like, you gotta choose wisely who these guys are or who these people are. Like, and I think when the N.W.A chose Kamille as the one-time champion, basically, I felt like that was the right choice.
So bringing it back with the N.W.A, right? Like, when it pertains to title reigns and such, like, if you have a gimmick behind your belt, then that can work too. Switching over to her husband, Tom Latimer, who has the what is it? It's the National Wrestling Alliance television championship.
Yeah.
So he's got that belt. If you win or defend it 7 times, you can cash it in, and then for a world title match, for a world title opportunity. And that goes with all of those belts. Every belt that the National Wrestling Alliance has, if it's not the major title, you can cash it in if you defend it 7 times. It's called Lucky Sevens. You defend it 7 times, and then you have the option to cash it in and go for the world title.
You know, I like that rule better than the option C quote for the X Division title, because you have to have at least 7 defenses and all that. Like, that's so much better. But you know, shout out to Kamille. What do you think is next for her? Does she try to, you know, do business somewhere else?
Wait,
try to venture? Because once you're a one time, it's hard to say I'm going back for that title.
Well, again, like she said in her Instagram that she was like, you know, on to the next. So I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if that's Impact. I don't know if it's wise to go to AEW. I don't know if like she'll go to like WWE a la NXT, because NXT is hurting for some talent. Jordan Grace ain't going fucking nowhere. So like that'll be a matchup. Again, that's a matchup that I would like to see. Trinity is now the world champion over in Impact Wrestling right now. She defeated Deonna Purrazzo at Emergence and stuff like that. So she's the world champion now. Can Kamille come in to people that's trying to prove themselves? That's what I like about Impact, man. Like people proving themselves, trying to hold these belts and stuff like that. So
Montez Red Cup has a question that I do not have the answer to. So I don't know if this president, if a woman defended her title like Kamille 7 times and she were to keep that title, could she cash it in for a men's title?
I am not completely sure about that. You would have to talk to the Smashing Pumpkins.
Let's talk to Billy Corgan on that one. I believe so, because I don't believe there's any rule against women against men. And
there's nothing saying that she didn't do that, or there's like, you know, I could see a Kamille or a Max the Impaler doing that. You know what I'm saying? Max is a big chick, but non-binary chick. Like, you know, she's fucking shit.
Yeah. So, with that being said, we're now in the Kenzie Page era. I think it's going to be a pretty good run. Her and her faction with all the titles.
Correction. It's pretty empowered era.
Pretty empowered era. Sorry.
They got all the gold.
I'm sure they feel pretty empowered right now that they have all the gold. With that being said, do you have any thoughts of Tyrus retiring, EC3 becoming the new face of the N.W.A.?
This is a transition, and like I said in like the last 3 podcasts now, or the last three shows, this is a transitional period all the time. Whenever it's their anniversary show, they're gonna drop the belt to whoever. Last year it was
Tyrus.
It was Tyrus. Yeah, last year it was Tyrus. The year before it was Trevor Murdoch. The year before that was Matt Cardona. The year before that was Nick Aldis. So like, there's eras here. Like, you see what I'm saying? There's this era of whoever's going to be the champion. So this is definitely going to be a transitional period. How it plays out, that is completely up to EC3. And as weird as that man is, I don't know. That man is weird, bro.
That man likes to control his narrative.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I want to see what that looks like as the world champion. Is it different? Is it the same? Are we going to get Ring of Honor EC3? Are we going to get Impact Wrestling Trouble EC3? Are we going to get freaking Nate Bateman or fucking something from NXT EC3? Like, are we going to get EC3 NXT EC3? Like, which EC3 are we going to get?
I really hope we get Impact Trouble EC3.
But or is it going to be something completely new? So like,
and with all that being said, at first I want to apologize to everybody. Thought we were coming on at noon. We had to come on a little early due to scheduling conflicts for myself. It's all me, because I'm missing one eye, basically, as we're doing this show.
You need this moonshine more than I do, dog.
Yeah, I'm just cursed. I'm cursed with bad luck lately. But with that being said, I think it's exciting for the N.W.A. because I thought Tyrus was a lame duck champion. I thought he was pretty boring as champion. He didn't bring the energy that Nick Aldis or even Trevor Murdoch brought to it. Like, Trevor Murdoch's title reign is going to be underrated because, you know, most people think of Trevor Murdoch, they go to 2010 and spit into jar buckets with Lance Cade and shit. They don't really think about him as the wrestler.
They also think that Lance Cade was the better wrestler, and in reality, it was really Trevor. So.
Yeah, and then, you know, I, for one, am looking forward to this. I think he brings a different personality to that title and company and look and feel. You know, Tyrus has had a lot of bad publicity, especially over the week, caring about people's pronouns and all that. And
look what channel he's on. He's on Fox.
Yeah.
Every day. fucking talking politics with the white people. Like, come on,
and you
man.
want to tell you, and this is why I'm thinking about a bad title reign. Is because he's on Fox on one of the most watched cable shows on television. It's in general. It's watched by, and I looked at the numbers. It's like 4 or 5 million people a night on the TV show, and yet he brought nothing to the NWA. Really, like it didn't bring any eyes or asses in seats. They're still doing these small venues or smaller shows, and no one talks about it. On the side note, if they do talk about it, it's all bad publicity from Tyrus, basically. So that's why I'm like, EC3 will at least bring a different energy and juice to it. If I were to see him feud with anybody, and this is just random. I thought about this after I watched the match. Who would be next? I honestly would like them to bring the real life beef between him and Velveteen Dream to the thing. I think that would bring crazy energy to NWA. As a one, I don't know how people feel about Velveteen Dream anyway. It's mostly like a mix and hate or like, oh, it's not his fault or whatever, and the drugs and all that. And then you have EC3, who's, you know, like you said, weird. And I think things will just be like semi-real, personal. Like, you know, it would be a nice story for the NWA title to like say, this is the new era and bounce back.
If Patrick Clark decides that he's going to join the NWA, then
I don't know. That's just Manny. I'm going to call that the chat, the sharpshooter as himself.
Yeah, man. Like if Patrick Clark decides that he wants to join the NWA and try to challenge for the world title off the rip, then he's got another thing coming. There's so many different people in the NWA right now that is potential good matchups for EC3 to face. Everybody from Odinson to Chris Adonis, Tom Latimer, as I mentioned, is the television champion. He won his lucky 7, so he's probably next. He's gonna fucking try to cash it in, perhaps within the next coming weeks. Like Montez Red Cup mentioned earlier, like if a woman was to decide to, you know, use the lucky 7 to go after the world title, Maxine Paler just got to get a couple wins under her women's championship, the National Wrestling Alliance Television Championship. So she got a lucky 7 if she wins her stuff. Kobe Carino, you know, he's got to win his 7s to get the ones, and there's so many other people there.
Yeah, and then Matt Cardona, who's technically never really
lost, and he's got a claim.
And the hottest thing on the independent wrestling.
Indeed, God, man.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people with challengers, and I look forward to this new era of NWA. Is there anything else of NWA 75 for their 2-night a week, ill-advised 2-night a week on All In Weekend you want to talk about?
Aside, like, you know, the Burke Invitational, which Mackenzie Page won, you know, like that was her way to get to the world title, to defeat Kamille. So like I think that should be highlighted just a little bit, you know, because she lost earlier in the night. This is one of those like Bret Hart WrestleMania 10 joints where it's like he's the first match of the card, he loses to his brother, and then ends up leaving the world champion after beating Yokozuna. Like, and Owen is just like, but I beat you. Like, the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm the best. To celebrate you, to put you on your shoulders. I'm going to stand at the entrance and look at this. Like, this is some bullshit.
So.
Oh, man, he went 1994, the greatest year in wrestling history, according to him. All right, so we're moving on to the other big event, Impact Wrestling Emergence. The main event of the evening was Diana Perazzo versus Trinity Fatu. Trinity retains via submission. What did you feel of the match or the show as a whole?
The show was a placeholder for what's upcoming, and basically, you know, we don't care about Emergence. We care about Bound for Glory. Bound for Glory is on the way.
See, you're skipping ahead. You're skipping a little ahead. Impact 1000.
Look, peep this out. 1000 is not gonna fucking matter. So what? We're gonna get the Dudleys at 1000. Who gives a shit? Them old ass niggas need to pack it the fuck up anyway.
Hey, you give awesome call too. I'm just saying, Impact 1000 is something that I never thought I'd see Impact making.
Look, congrats to Impact for making the 1000. They're gonna be in White Plains upstate. Like, you know, I can probably go to that show, but they are hyping everything up right now. This is their Royal Rumble season. This is their WrestleMania season, basically, because Bound for Glory is in October. We all like that is their WrestleMania. So they have to put everything. Like, remember how I talked about the hard reboot for the National Wrestling Alliance? This is their hard reboot. They have a plethora of new stars in Impact that some people know, some people don't. Like everybody from like Killer Kelly, Masha Slamovich, like Trinity on her
Kevin
new
Knight.
path. Like like there's just so many people. Kevin Knight from New Japan. You got Kushida coming back and forth. Like there's things here. The Rascals just became champions. Subculture, unless you've been watching NXT UK, you're not gonna really know about fucking them. So this is the hard reboot. Let everybody stake their claim to being whatever it is that they're gonna be, whether it's number one contenders, champions, the best. Like it's geared up for Bound for Glory. I mean, Will Ospreay is going to Bound for Glory too. So
with Bound for Glory coming up, featuring Will Ospreay as announced, and I'm assuming Jordan Grace will be there. She's going to be at Victory Road, so I'm assuming she's going to make it to Bound for Glory as well. They have a lot of additions coming. Do you see Alex Shelley holding that title and main event Bound for Glory, or do you have him losing before?
He might lose before, but I'd be pretty shocked to see if he's still world champion at the end. I'm not counting out Alex Shelley because on the indies he's been like champion for a long time. Those lengthy title reigns that we've mentioned. On certain indie shows he's like a long tenured champion. But this is not. I mean, Impact is the indies, but like this is different. This is television. This is like prime time. Like let's get it popping. Depending on who his challengers are, I don't know, man. There's a lot of stiff competition out there in Impact Wrestling as of right now.
Hey, and again, I we don't say this enough. If you're not watching Impact, check that shit out. It's a really good show. It's a good show. It's a good balance. It's that in between of WWE and AEW. I feel like where you get a little bit of the violence from AEW, but it has control. It has self-control. Like it's that mid. It has the NXT kind of a little bit of zaniness in it too, with stuff with like I'm blanking out Joe Henry and shit. With singing and dancing.
That's a great entrance.
That was fun. Enjoy it. Check that stuff out. But check out Impact, and I know they have the 1000 coming up. Emergence was a solid show. I thought Subculture dropping the title really fast. I was like, it's fine. And I'm kind of bugged out by Trey Miguel just ended up being a tag wrestler again. Like I enjoyed his singles run. It's fine. I'm okay with him working with Zachary Wentz, formerly NASCAR or whatever. But I just I just thought they gave up on his X Division run kind of quick.
So, I mean, like peep this out, right? Let's talk about Zachary. I didn't want to.
No, Collision.
No, Collision is the better show because it has the bigger stars. Like just
and a bigger crowd helps a lot for me. It does. Super. Like the energy of the Collision crowd.
If Impact had the crowd of Collision, then Impact would 10 times out of 10 be the better show. But because they do not, and because they don't have the star power, I should say, because Collision got the stars. Like, listen, you know what I'm saying? Like they got Joe is there, fuck is there. Yeah, and the stars are there. Like
Collision AEW roster is massive. Just basically, it's massive and it's star power. And as we talk about that, and it's gonna be the last topic we talk about because I have to go. I'm at a 30-minute hard count. But CM Punk drama. What do you do? What would you do with this guy or this situation? And
in this instance, it's not his fault, but at the same time, it's just like there's just too many infractions on you. You gotta know when to let go. You gotta know when to let it go. Tony Khan, get control of your nose. Get control of your Tony Khan, get control. You got a problem, and it's not your nose.
They need to go their separate ways. I don't understand. Like, clearly, this guy does not get along with the locker room. Clearly, he's shouting at everybody. Clearly, they're shouting back at him. Clearly, they're trying to do things to antagonize him. And, back and forth. It's too petty, and I don't think it's worth it. It's not worth it.
It just makes CM Punk look right. He's working with fucking children. Be professional. Yeah. We're professional wrestlers at the end of the day. Be professional.
Yeah, they both need to go their separate ways. And maybe Tony Fear is like, oh, he'd go to WWE and talk shit, maybe in the ring. But that's gonna pass. It's fine. Who gives a fuck?
That?
Who gives a shit? All the time. Like CM Punk has brought pretty good business for him and the energy and like, oh shit, they got CM Punk and a fan base. But I feel like that time with him, that novelty of him wrestling again is worn off. Like, they're already in talks to try to bring in Edge and stuff. I'm sure he will play well with others like CM Punk. And it's just not, I don't feel like it's worth it. Collision's only getting like 500,000 people watching. It's on a bad day Saturday. And then college football's coming back, so it's going to get even worse. Dynamite's rating has hit like a stagnant, and CM Punk's not even on that show. So it's not like he's MJF and Adam Cole are your draws. I would just part ways with him. Just be done with it. Wash your hands with this and end this situation. I don't know if it's a money issue that you're like, I don't want to pay, but if you guys suspend this man after every major milestone pay-per-view, it's ridiculous. All Out's coming out this weekend. I think it's Sunday. Coming out Sunday in Chicago, his backyard. Not gonna be there because of this problem.
Why Payback is on Saturday. They ain't fucking slick, WWE. Okay. Y'all niggas ain't slick. I got you. I was like, normally fucking this shit would be on a Sunday. What's good with that? But
no, WWE is going to, they moved to Saturday. So
yeah, they moved shit to Saturdays.
The game of chess has been, because AEW was doing Saturdays. WWE has now moved all their pay-per-view to Saturdays in this war, this chess match or whatever. And so AEW is now back to Sundays.
They ain't slick.
Nah. They fighting WWE is a motherfucker because they always coming at you. They always coming at you with something new. They're petty as fuck and they're always coming at you.
Is Emergence a show that I would go back and watch? Perhaps. But this is all just a build up to eventually Bound for Glory. Like everything else is just like a subsidiary. I mean, congrats to Impact for 1,000 episodes, 1,000 shows. Victory Road's coming up as well. It's like, everything is just in conjunction to build up for Bound for Glory. This is Impact Wrestling's WrestleMania season. This is their season. So if you want to watch Impact, dive in now. This would be a good place to start Emergence if you're going to dive in right now.
Yep. So that concludes today's show. I know we started early, but we're still in about the same amount of time. The show's average 30 minutes. I think we covered mostly everything that we could talk about this week. I would like to, on a later show, do a deep dive to try to catch people up on Impact Wrestling, try to do something like that, and just get them up to date. Some people may need like the follow up because it's hard to just jump into shit.
Oh, you already know. You already know the I got the history.
The history and Impact. So maybe next week on ETE we'll prepare you for Impact 1000 and just talk about great moments in Impact and even talk about the modern day product of Impact as well. Just because I feel like it deserves more shine. And then two, I would honestly love to just go and like try to rank our favorite lengthy title reigns of all time. Because I know there's a few, whether it's the Oscars, the Usos, Gunther, Pete Dunne, or even Finn Balor in NXT.
Okada, man. Remember
Okada?
Yo.
Like there's Jay Lethal from Lethal's TV title to Ring of Honor title.
Jay Briscoe's long lengthy title reign. He didn't get beat for 2 years. Like, stop playing with that, man.
At one point, we may do some extra content to talk about our favorite lengthy title reigns. It may even include the Lord and the hater Eric as well. Who knows? But that concludes the show. If you want more of Jemal, look at this in the new description. Look down below. SoundCloud got 3 faces of Jemal. I don't have to tell you the number 3 because now you can see the number 3, and those are bars right there.
People don't read sometimes, so just gotta remind them. Just gotta remind them just a little bit. Midgard Mess Podcast.
You can check me out. You go to sharpshooters.com. Please donate to the show. Like and subscribe. Comment. Please give us your favorite title reigns or your thoughts on Kamille or Impact Wrestling or Tyrus retiring or just anything. The CM Punk drama. We take all comments anywhere. I'll be back tomorrow with the review of NXT and AEW Dynamite. And, check us out on Saturday for, I think, either the Sharpshooter Wrestling Podcast or the Watch Along. I honestly don't know what we're doing Saturday. I have to talk to the Lord, Eric, to figure out what's happening for Payback Weekend and All Out. All Out, I'm not watching for sure. I'll watch it later. By other means, you got my money already for the month, AEW.
Yep, you got me fucked up if you think I'm about to do it again.
Yeah, I already went all in.
I'm not trying to go all out.
I'm not trying to go all out. Money is hard, man. Money's hard. Look at this. I'm doing this with one leg. Money's hard, all right? We're here living in the ends.
Hard times, daddy.
Hard times. Pork and beans and pinto beans and kings and queens. Kings and kings. The king of kings of pork and beans right here. That's how we live it.
Just remember, Cody Rhodes is that nigga, all right? Yeah. Racism one day at a time.
All right. We shall see you guys later. Peace out. Have a good night.